All right, here we are back talking about environmental economics through the lens of climate change. And this is lecture part 2, the impacts of climate change and the abatement of climate change as public goods. And we're going to talk about what that means. We're going to develop a typology, and we're going to look at our market model, go back to our competitive market model, and show how public goods are likely to be underprovided in a competitive market. We just talked about how an externality, a production externality in the oil market, an externality that has to do with the damage that greenhouse gases produce as they sort of go up into the atmosphere and accumulate, that damage is not considered in the cost, the marginal cost of producing oil, and that leads to a market failure. And we're going to take a step back here and think about that externality as, it's kind of like a public bad. It's like the opposite of a public good, but it has these properties that, greenhouse gases, they mix in the atmosphere. They don't affect everybody equally, but they're the kind of thing that that if greenhouse gases, if global warming is hurting you, that doesn't stop it from being able to hurt me too, right? So it's not the same as like an ice cream cone, right? Like you eat your ice cream cone, I can't eat that same ice cream cone. So we're going to take a step back and look at those properties more specifically and think about this typology. So to start with, though, I really want to introduce you to somebody. To start to engage your thinking, and the introduction will come in a second, I want to pose this discussion question. Given what you know about the words public and private, what do you think distinguishes a public good from a private good? I've kind of suggested some ideas, but take a pause for a second. And while you do that, I will make sure that we can do this introduction well. Yes. Okay. So you've got some thoughts your mind is taking. All right. I'm going to introduce you to this typology about public and private goods. And this was developed by this awesome woman, Elinor Ostrom, who was one of the first women to earn the Nobel Prize in Economics. Lynn Ostrom made a whole career out of showing how groups of resource users that were connected to these common resources like pastures and groundwater and fisheries and forests, how they succeeded in sort of sustainably managing those. This was against the prevailing wisdom of the time that suggested that that overexploitation was sort of like inevitable, and that you had to have either full privatization, property rights sort of assigned, or you had to have an all-powerful sort of central state that could regulate things. And she and her whole sort of big research team and now a quite sizable diaspora of people who have studied under her looked at a bunch of case studies to see, actually, it's not exactly like those sort of simplistic models suggest. Anyway, we're going to look at a typology that she developed right now. So the way that we're going to, what she pointed out is that you can think about goods and services as having two really important dimensions. So we're going to do this 2x2 thing again. One dimension is their rivalry or subtractability. I don't know if I spelled this right. That looks kind of right. Rivalry, subtractability. This is the ice cream cone that I was saying, right? Like, is this resource subtractable? Does the enjoyment of one person of that resource sort of take it away and prevent another person, right? Are we rivals if we both want this ice cream cone? Not all things are like that, right? Like music at a concert. I'm enjoying it. That doesn't stop other participants and other audience members from enjoying the music, right? So there's this rivalry or subtractability dimension, and then there's this excludability dimension, right? And Ostrom was really keen on telling us, like, these are continuous sort of like spectrums, right? Like it's a typology because we're going to talk about sort of ideal types, but it's not the case that any good or service is just like excludable or not, right? Nonetheless, it helps us sort of define 4 major quadrants here, where private goods exist in this very particular space, right? Private goods are both very subtractable and very excludable. And let's think about what some private goods are that are impacted by climate change. Well, so I'm going to zoom in here just to be able to add some notes. Well, what's highly excludable and highly subtractable? Agricultural crops are a good example of this, right? Agricultural fields, grain silos, you can count these as private property. They're fairly easy to exclude other people from. And corn is totally subtractable. Corn chips, if I eat the bag, you can't eat it, vice versa. Agricultural crops, I mention this because they're really affected by unmitigated climate change. It's likely to significantly affect crop yields. CO2 is good for a lot of crops up to a point, but the heat of summer heat waves, right, and changing precipitation patterns can dramatically shift the appropriateness of growing a particular crop in a particular place. And at some temperatures, the crops just sort of wilt in the fields, right? So there's a lot of other private goods that we could look at, but crops are a good example of private goods that are affected by climate change. All right.